Hi, I'm Sam. I'm Soffes on like everything. That's the benefit of having a made-up last name. I live in San Francisco and fly my drone a lot. Wanted to work that in. Anyway, I'm a software engineer and wannabe designer, so it's kind of weird talking to a bunch of designers, but it'll be interesting. I mainly do iOS developments, and I've made a bunch of stuff. I started when the SDK came out, like way back in 2008. I had an app in the store day one, and kind of got sick of it. It's interesting. Like, I realized recently as I was like writing this, oh man, I promised I wouldn't be meta about writing the talk. Anyway, like, this is like my career now. I've been doing this for like 7 years. That's like kind of mind-blowing. I'm like not this kid that just finished high school like typing in a box on my computer. Anyway, so I got sick of it because like how many apps are just like a list of things, right? I have like a social app. It's like a list of photos or statuses or whatever. There's like only so many ways to put something in a table view. So I decided I'm going to quit iOS. I'm going to do whatever I want. So I made this thing called, or I started making this thing called Button, which is amazing, but really difficult because I don't know anything about hardware. Michael wasn't kidding. Hardware is like ridiculously hard. So turns out doing whatever you want doesn't pay so well. So I decided to do some freelance to pay for things. So I started working on this app called, man, the colors, Lightly, and it's collaboration, or my client, I'm not a, I worked on it for him. The client is a really amazing guy, Cole Rise. And if you don't follow him on Instagram, you should absolutely follow Cole Rise. Anyway, he made this thing called Lightly a long time ago, or a couple years ago, I guess, for desktop. It's like these amazing photo effects. And I was like tweeting at him, like, hey, we should totally make an iPhone version. Like we're rev share, hire me, I don't care. I want this to exist. Kind of in the middle of like hating iOS development and wanting to do nothing related to that. And he was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And kind of in the time I was like, I should really take some work on. So it worked out really nicely, and it's kind of pretty. He did a really good job with the design and the photo filters, and then I did all the development. And Apple really liked it, which was amazing. It was featured Editor's Choice, which is like the best feature you can have day one. It was like millions of people all over the world downloaded it in the first week, which was pretty incredible. Here's one of the, like, it's really hard to see, but the effects are like really subtle, but they look amazing. It's kind of different than like the VSCO effects are like really intense. You can tell it's a VSCO effect, versus this is like light, slightly. Anyway, and kind of thinking about this, I had a realization on why I like started to hate iOS. Before I worked on this project, well, before I like started freelancing and I had a job, I was working at Seesaw. No one's heard of this, it's fine. I was the first employee and like hired a bunch of people, or a couple people, and we made this thing, and then we decided we're not going to get more funding after all, so let's sell the company, and that company turned it off. So it's gone, no one can see it. If you wanted to see it, sorry, it's totally gone forever. All this work I did, and like no one will ever care because it's gone. And that's really sad. Like, like I spent all this time on this thing. I don't know if you noticed on my like graph of things I worked on, there was a big empty spot. There's another, like, all the stuff I worked on like never shipped because of clients or whatever. And that's really depressing because like shipping really matters. Like if you ship it, then it's like great, now all these people can see it. And it suddenly has purpose. Versus if I just sat in my room and typed for 6 months, like no one cares. Like it doesn't matter. I could be like out doing something like silly. I don't know, badminton. I don't know, whatever. Like I'm doing something that matters though because now people use it, and you know if it makes someone smile even a little. Like I realize it's a photo app. Like I'm not changing the world. It's a photo app. But I mean, like some people really enjoy it, and that's really cool. It's infinitely cooler than, you know, I never shared it with anyone. And I was thinking about it. So like Lee showed all this amazing art, And it's just art for the sake of art, which is amazing. And I don't expect to ever be capable of doing anything remotely that awesome. I think of it more as like making a table, which is a weird analogy. But if you think like, you wouldn't make a table for the sake of making a table unless you were like learning to make a table. So once you know how to make a table, why would you like, you're not going to make like 30 tables and put them in your garage. Like that's ridiculous. You'd like give them to people or sell them or like use them if you have a lot of rooms. But you wouldn't just like make a bunch of tables and like throw them away or whatever it is. That would be ridiculous. First, like practicing your craft is like respectable, or art for the sake of art. I can get behind that. But like making iOS apps and like throwing them away is like really depressing. Like you wouldn't do that. So that was kind of my, all right, I'm gonna work on things that matter. I'm gonna ship things. I can kind of get back into this. Was kind of my first step to coming back to iOS. And through this project, we spent a while on it, I kind of rediscovered some interesting, like more technical things in iOS that made me like really love iOS again. So I just wanted to share some of that and then talk about something else. All right, so you can see there's a hole cut out of that slider, and that is done with a mask, which is really neat. So masks are my new favorite things in iOS, because like it's been there since the beginning. But in like iOS 2, you could like round corners on your, like on images, whatever. But it was like really intensive. Like scrolling would totally suck. So like, okay, no one round images, like it's fine. And then like a couple years later, oh, devices can handle it, like rounding corners everywhere. And it was kind of the same with masks, because masks have been there since the beginning, but now they are fast enough. So you can do amazing stuff with them. Like, it's kind of hard to see, but there's a bunch of shadows on this slider. So if we had just like changed out the little knob, there'd be like this weird inner shadow that would look really silly. So we like mask it. So it's a mask that's like 0, and then when it gets to 0, it like expands. And you can do it animated, which is amazing, but it looked really silly, so we didn't animate it. But it's cool because it's just a vector shape mask. So it's just like whatever path you want it to be as the mask for whatever view. And you can do other sorts of masks, but the vector ones are like really neat. So here's another really cool example that's kind of hard to see. There's this like line through the image, and this is like a before and after thing. So if you like hold 2 fingers in the app, it'll like animate in. And this is like only possible with masks, because if I didn't use a mask, I could just like animate this chunk of unprocessed photo, which would look really silly. But instead I have this like triangle that's 0 and then like animate it up, all like, because you can animate things and it's just like a vector triangle. I don't know. It's really cool. I like this a lot, more than I probably should. But here's another thing. Oh yeah, I'm totally gonna, yes. All right, so you can kind of see like the arrow is like half green and half blue. As you scroll, it replaces the color. There's like a color per effect, so you can kind of find them fast. And this is only possible with the mask again. Well, you could do it without, but it'd be really hard. And it's basically just a big triangle or a big rectangle that moves, and then there's a little arrow cut out of it, which is kind of neat. And no one's actually noticed this, so that was part of the reason to show you, because I'm really proud of it, and no one has cared. But I think that's interesting, because like if it didn't do that, it would look really silly. Like how the color would just change after you finish scrolling. Like would it fade in? Like it would be really jarring. And this is like the most, like of course it just slides. Like, and it took some time. So I don't know. It's interesting. So masks are really cool. I don't know. So yeah, I had toyed with the idea of putting like a big like split screen up and be like, which talk do you want to hear? Because I had like all this stuff I wanted to say, and not all this time. So I didn't do that, and I said I'm just going to give you 2 talks really quickly, because I had 2 things I wanted to talk about. Anyway, I was thinking about just doing the split screen and like, all right, everyone vote, and then it's just like the next slide. There wasn't like 2 talks. It was just like totally fake, but I didn't do it. Anyway, so people love their tools, right? I mean, like we obviously heard from Josh earlier, and like amazing tooling happening. It's interesting to think like tools are like basically our livelihood, right? So okay, let's imagine like there weren't any like design tools on the Mac or Windows or whatever. Like, what are we even doing? Like, why? like half of us wouldn't have anything to do. We were just like, okay, well, I got to go work at Starbucks or something. I don't know. Like, it's crazy. So like, think of like, okay, I can use Photoshop, and I've been doing this since Photoshop 6. I know all kinds of things. And if you're like, cool, design me something about Photoshop, people are like, oh man, like, if you can't do it, are you not a designer? Are you just a Photoshop user? Or like, if your skills transcend the tool, then are you a designer? It's interesting, right? Like, that's kind of a, I don't know. So it's really fascinating to me that as designers, the whole community seems to be like, yes, Sketch, screw you, Adobe, like, we're out, we're going to new things. And that's really interesting. Like, everyone's just like, sure, like, well, I'll switch, why not? Like, how hard could it be? And that's fascinating. Because if you think like, you know, like if you look at like job application or requirements or whatever, you know, it's like you need to have X years with Photoshop or no HTML and CSS and all these things, and they're just tools. Like, no one's like, you need to have a really good design taste. I mean, maybe they are, but like, you can't quantify that. Like, my taste is good. I mean, so it's interesting, like, what are our skills besides our tools? Do we even have skills? Do we just know how to use tools? And surely we do, but how do you even like think about that? I don't know. I don't know. So we invest all this time into tools, like tons of time. And that's interesting. Like, obviously tools can make us go faster and more productive and open up things that wouldn't be possible before, which is, you know, amazing. But I think there's a way to go too far in that spectrum. I recently had a conversation with a friend, and I was like, what have you been working on? I ask people this all the time, you know, like something interesting, like tell me something, I'm excited. And his reply was so depressing. Like, oh, I've been trying to get up to speed with Course Composer the last few weeks. It's like, you're not doing anything. You're just like playing with this thing that's like not even supported anymore. Like, why? Why? Like, go make something. This is ridiculous. And I see the value for prototyping. Like, if you're in a large team and need to communicate to a semi-disconnected developer, like, that's great. But like, you know, if you're just making stuff for yourself or a small team, like, just go do it. You're so close to just like making it. Like, why just like almost do it and then like, okay, we're gonna throw all this away, and then other people that I don't even know are gonna start over. That just seems like so ridiculous to me. I don't know. I'm probably more biased on the other end of the spectrum because I usually work in smaller teams or by myself. I don't know. This was just like something I heard recently. It was just like so sad. Because like, what does he have to show for that time? Like, we're not even using Quartz Composer to prototype things. You're just like, it's just gone. Anyway, so tools can break. Yes. Yes. Oh man, right? Isn't that great? It's nothing to do with tools, really. I mean, he's using a chainsaw, but I think it's just hilarious. Just keep watching it. All right, so okay, I gotta go on. All right, so tools can break, and like physical tools, right? They can they're gone, they're obsolete, we gotta throw them away. And recently, my world was shaken up slightly on Monday. There's this thing called Objective-C we've been using for like 15 years, and now Apple's like, just kidding, we're not going to use that anymore. We're going to use this new thing called Swift, which is incredible, by the way. But it's interesting, like trying to like make an app in Swift, and I have like no idea what I'm doing. Like, how do I show text on screen? Like, I don't know. This is really hard. Am I even an iOS developer? Do I just know Objective-C? Hopefully I'm an iOS developer and understand how things work. But even then, like, iOS is just a tool. Like, am I even a software developer? Do I just know iOS? I don't know. I think pouring all of our time into tools puts us on that spectrum, right? So either we only own our tools or our skills transcend these tools. But then if we spend so much time on tools, are we just like spreading out all of these things and not gaining any like actual skill? I don't know. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting to think that like the World Wide Web came out the day before I was born, and it was written in Objective-C. Like, we've been using this a super long time. I've been using it for like 10 years. And now it's just like, cool, like start over, throw it away. And I realize it's not that like, you know, black and white with Sketch and Photoshop. Like, I still use Photoshop occasionally, but mostly Sketch. But it's like, cool, no more Objective-C. I don't know. So I guess on the topic of that spectrum, there's just like one thing I'll leave you with, and it's just make stuff. I don't know. So that's my short talk.